Good morning. I'm going to be talking to you about the TEDx speaker guide. So you, as part of your Genius Hour projects, are going to be giving a 5-minute talk. So I know you'll see the number 18 a lot on this guide. Traditional TED Talks are within the guidelines of 18 minutes, but your TED Talk will be only 5 minutes. So I want to talk to you about how to begin developing that and creating it with a purpose. So you have been selected as students of Newton Conover Middle School so props to you. You're doing a good job and keep it up. As you prepare for your talk, I want you to keep in mind these guiding principles. They've worked for others and I know that they'll work for you. So number 1, get familiar with the form. So you have 5 minutes. I know it says 18, but 5 minutes to develop an idea. Number 3, you're going to make a script or an outline. Number 4, you'll create slides or some sort of presentation to keep it simple and highlight your idea. Number 5, you need to rehearse by yourself or with your group. Number 6, you need to give your talk in front of your classroom. And number 7, savor the glory. And this script that I'm going through was presented and created by TEDx. TED.com. So getting a little bit more into our first topic. So getting familiar with the form. So it's 5 minutes. A TED Talk showcases a speaker presenting a well-formed idea in under 5 minutes. So why 5 minutes? Because it works. Short chunks plus one subject at a time equals a happy audience. But really, can I go over 5 minutes? No. You might not even need 18. In this case, they did it in 5, which is what we're doing. Number 2, you're going to have to develop an idea. So what makes for a really good talk? Take evidence of observations and draw a large conclusion. So you see something new, something surprising, maybe you challenge a belief or a new idea. Do you need to be an expert on the topic? The expert? No. An expert? Absolutely. The audience is counting on you, so make sure that your facts are correct. Make sure that you have reliable sources on your topic, and consult with others who are experts in the field. So is my idea ready? During Genius Hour, you should have written down your idea in 1 or 2 sentences so that others can understand what it is. Then ask yourself this question: is my idea new? Is it interesting? Is it factual and realistic? If you answered no to any of these, then refine your idea a little bit and ask someone who you respect who is not in your field those 3 questions. Then ask your event coordinator, meaning your Genius Hour teacher, to help you get it refined until it is yes to all 3 of these questions. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to make an outline for what is best structure to talk about. So the first one is a trick question. There is really no one best structure that works well for everyone. But I can say that what does make a good structure for a TED Talk is a clear introduction, a middle, and an end. Your speaker should know how many minutes they have for the talk, make a script, and begin with that. So make your audience care. How do you plan on getting a hook or to grab your audience's attention? Then you need to explain your idea. Describe it to the audience. Call them to action. Why and how are you implementing your idea? Reveal the new reality. So how the audience lives, how the lives of the audience members will be affected if they act on your idea. And then what structure do you have to decide to remember? Your goal is to communicate an idea effectively, not to tell a story or evoke emotions. Those are tools, not an end in themselves. Your structure should be visible to the audience. Don't talk about how you're going to talk about your topic, just talk about it. And then for our next topic on our presentation next week, we'll be talking about how to create slides. So I want to show you something that you have, and that is your group project planner. And your project planner looks a little something like this. So this is the 8th grade's planner. We will scroll down to the group planner, and every grade level is the same for this part of it. So it says Little Red's Group Project Planner. So this is where you need to fill in your group members' names. If you have one person, you'll fill it in there. Two persons, you'll fill in A and B, and so forth. So down below it says you need to have a title of your project, something that really grabs the audience's attention. The next thing is you need to have a short summary. So describe and define your project in 1 to 2 sentences. And you should have already done a good bit of this. Our project is about blank. We hope to do blank. We chose our project because blank. So hopefully you've already filled in sort of this aspect of it, which will help you begin writing your speech. So as I scroll down, this is the speech outline, and you should have made a copy of in your Google Drive and shared it with the members of your group so that anyone can edit it at any time. You also need to share this with your teacher, so ask them how to share this with their email so that they can have access and help monitor it as well. So the first thing on the left side is you need to determine who's going to give your introduction. Is it one person, 2 people, or all 3? Then you need to write your outline. So you would begin typing your speech in this component. Then you would move on to your key point 1. So what are you talking about? Number 2, how did you do it? So key point 2. Key point 3, when, or you can modify this to fit your needs. And then the 4th one, why? And then challenge the audience for a conclusion. So right now, for this next couple weeks, we are just focusing on the speech part of it. So think of the best movie that you've ever watched and a trailer that went along with it. What made you want to watch that movie? That's what a Little Red's Talk is about, or a mini TED Talk. I want to give you a couple of guidelines themselves from TEDx content. So the first one is that there's no selling from the stage. So you're not selling your product. You are talking about it, but you're not going to be selling it. Number 2, there's no political agendas. Number 3, no religious, like including age beliefs. Number 4, only good science. So what does that mean? Number 1, no selling from the stage. If it's essentially to talk that the speaker motion what they do and describe and the business that they're in, they should. But speakers may never use the TED or TEDx stage to pitch their product or services, plug their books, or ask for funding. It's a fine line between shameless self-promoting and wholesome self-reporting. So as a rule of thumb, if it feels like an advertisement, it probably is. Number 2, guideline number 2, no political agendas. Politics and policies are key parts of the global conservation. But TED and TEDx stages are not the place for partisan politicians, not for extremes or inflammatory positions. So make sure that you keep that off the stage. Number 3, no religious proselytizing. Don't book speakers who attempt to prove or persuade the correctness of a single religion, deity, or belief system, whether through rhetoric or scientific proof. Be wary of speakers promoting New Age beliefs, including concepts such as quantum consciousness, Gaia theory, and so forth. Speakers can be honest about their beliefs, but should not use the stage to promote the use of them. Number 4, only good science. Science is a huge part of the TED universe, and it's important that the Genius Hour teachers and WIN teachers sustain our reputation as a credible forum for sharing ideas that matter. It's not always easy to distinguish between real science and pseudoscience or false wisdom. Typically share their theories with as much sincerity and earnestness as legitimate researchers. Indeed, there will be more willing a speaker is to abandon scientific underpinning, the easier it is to talk about making attention grabbing. So beware about being seduced by the wow. We want talks to be interesting, but before that, they must actually be credible. So, onward and forward on preparing your mini TED Talk. I want to leave you with this short introductory video from Nancy Durrett while she uncovers common structure of great communicators.
It's really, really great to be here. You have the power to change the world. I'm not saying that to be cliche. You really have the power to change the world. Deep inside of you, every single one of you has the most powerful device known to man, and that's an idea. So a single idea from the human mind, it can start a groundswell. It could be a flashpoint for a movement. and it can actually rewrite our future. But an idea is powerless if it stays inside of you. If you never pull that idea out for others to contend with, it will die with you. Now, maybe some of you guys have tried to convey your idea, and it wasn't adopted, it was rejected, and some other mediocre or average idea was adopted. And the only difference between those two is in the way it was communicated. Because if you communicate an idea in a way that resonates, change will happen, and you can change the world. So my family, we collect these vintage European posters. Every time we go to Maui, we go to the dealer there. And he turns these great big posters. I love them. They all have one idea and one really clear visual that conveys the idea. They're about the size of a mattress. They're really big. They're not as thick as a mattress, but they're big. And the guy will tell the story as he turns the pages. And this one time I was flanked by my two kids, and he turns the page and this poster's underneath. And right when I lean forward and say, "Oh my God, I love this poster," both my kids jump back and they're like, "Oh my God, Mom, it's you." And this is the poster. So yeah, like, fired up. The thing I loved about this poster was the irony. Here's this chick all fired up, headed into battle as the standard bearer, and she's holding these little suavitos baking spices. Like something so seemingly insignificant, though she's willing to risk, life and limb to promote this thing. So if you were to swap out those little suavitos baking spices with a presentation, yeah, it's me, pretty fired up. I was fired up about presentations back when it wasn't cool to be fired up about presentations. I really think they have the power to change the world when you communicate effectively through them. And changing the world is hard. It won't happen with just one person with one single idea. That idea has got to spread or it won't be effective. So it has to come out of you and out into the open for people to see. And the way that ideas are conveyed the most effectively is through story. For thousands of years, illiterate generations would pass on their values and their culture from generation to generation, and they would stay intact. So there's something kind of magical about a story structure that makes it so that when it's assembled, it can be ingested and then recalled by the person who's receiving it. So, basically, a story, you get a physical reaction. Your heart can race, your eyes can dilate, you could talk about, "Oh, I got a chill down my spine," or "I could feel it in the pit of my stomach." We actually physically react when someone's telling us a story. So even though the stage is the same, a story can be told, but once a presentation is told, it completely flatlines. And I wanted to figure out why. Why is it that we physically sit with rapt attention during a story, but it just dies for a presentation? So I wanted to figure out, how do you incorporate story into presentations? So we've had thousands of presentations back at the shop, hundreds of thousands of presentations actually. So I knew the context of a really bad presentation. And I decided to study cinema and literature and really dig in and figure out what was going on and why it was broken. So I want to show you some of the findings that led up to what I think I've uncovered as a presentation form. So it was obvious to start with Aristotle. He had a 3-act structure, a beginning, a middle, and an end. We studied poetics and rhetoric, and a lot of presentations don't even have that in its most simple form. And then when I moved on to studying hero archetypes, I thought, okay, the presenter's the hero, they're up on stage, they're the star of the show. It's really easy to feel that way as the presenter, that you're the star of the show. I realized right away that that's really broken, because I have an idea, I can put it out there, but if you guys don't grab that idea and hold it as dear, the idea goes nowhere and the world has never changed. So in reality, the presenter isn't the hero, the audience is the hero of our idea. So if you look at Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, just at the front part, there was some really interesting insights there. So there's this likable hero in an ordinary world, and they get this call to adventure. So the world is kind of brought out of balance. And at first they're resistant. They're like, I don't know if I want to jump into this. And then a mentor comes along and helps them move from their ordinary world into a special world. And that's the role of the presenter, is to be the mentor. You're not Luke Skywalker, you're Yoda. You're the one that actually helps the audience move from one thing and into your new special idea. And that's the power of story. So in its most simple structure, it's a 3-part structure of a story. You have a likable hero who has a desire, and they encounter a roadblock, and ultimately they emerge transformed. And that's the basic structure. But it wasn't until I came across Gustav Freytag's pyramid. He drew this shape in 1863. Now, he was a German dramatist. If I would click. He's a German dramatist, and he believed there was a 5-act structure, which has a exposition, a rising action, a climax, a falling action, and a denouement, which is the unraveling